the Lord have need of thee. First be conscious of this, that the Lord hath need of thee with thy faults, with thy virtues. Keep the way of the Christ ever before thee in thy uprisings, in thy downsettings. For the Lord hath need of thee today in the hearts of many who look to thee for direction. Let thy life, thy conversations, ever point the way to Christ. Clean out thy temple. Open it to the powers that are thine. For ye realize, or should, that ye are conscious, that the Father God hath need of thee. Study to show thyself first approved unto God, and thine own conscience. Not that God hath need of thy efforts, but thy fellow man hath need of thy efforts to show him the way toward God. Keep conscious of the fact that the Lord thy God is mindful of thee, else you would not be conscious of being 3659 in this present world emergency. He hath need of thee, yea, as he hath need of him. Don't forget it. Dare to be thyself. For the Lord hath need of thee among many, seeking to represent, to present, to be active in a definite cause. When there is used properly that thou hast in hand from day to day, the next step is given thee that will bring to thine soul and to thine inner self those things necessary as the Lord hath need of thee. Know that in whatever state ye find yourself, there the Lord hath need of thee. There apply thyself, never being satisfied, but ever being content, never casting judgment upon self nor upon others. Take time to be holy. Ye have made promises to self, to thy Maker, to thy friends. Remember, what thou hast vowed keep. For the Lord hath need of those who are honest with themselves. First be conscious of this, that the Lord hath need of thee with thy faults, with thy virtues. For without the consciousness that thou art his and he is thine, ye may not claim that birthright, ye may not pass this way without sorrow or without condemnation. But with that consciousness he healeth thy diseases, he instructeth thy mind, he pointeth the way that ye will choose. Thou knowest the way and the truth and the light. Keep it. For though at times the way may be lonely and long, know he hath need of thee, else ye would not be in the physical consciousness or aware of his thought of thee. For life itself is the manifestation of that force, that power ye call God. God is mindful of thee. Art thou mindful of him? Any specific exercise I can take that will help me to grow? The body will grow to its normalcy as developments are natural with this body. Be pleased with the stature that is normal, and not try to be something else. Be what you are made to be. For he hath need of thee in those places, those positions, those conditions where you are. Fill them. What you set your head to do, you can do. But first analyze thyself, and may it not be better said that study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman not ashamed, rightly dividing the words of truth, keeping self unspotted from the world. Rightly stress those tenets of the first things first, asking no one to do that ye would not do yourself, giving of thy strength in service for a purpose, knowing the Lord hath need of thee, if ye have need of the Lord. Know that he, thy ideal, hath need of thee. Thus the greater injunction would be to quit thyself as one who may be worthy to be entrusted with the directing of thy fellow men, in those things as bring harmony and peace in the material world, assurance and peace in the spiritual realm, that may bring safety in the activity with others, as may be prompted from thy interpretation, in word, and more in deed, of the law of truth in dealing with thy fellow men. Do not blame others, do not condemn anyone for the disturbances that exist. Know that there are healings for the body, else the opportunities would not have been given the body in the resuscitation. Know deep within self that God hath need of thee at this time. Know that he came into the world that each individual, each entity, might have life more abundantly, that is, more of life, more expectancy from life, and more worthwhile experiences. Is there any particular work I can do in the Association for Research and Enlightenment Incorporated that would be beneficial both to the association and myself? As ye have received, so give. As ye have been convinced in thine own experience, so give. For the work of the association must stand as it ministers to the needs. Ye may become an emissary to others according to thy faith, thy measure of experience and same. These become rather as a part and parcel of self, not a definite activity. For the Lord hath need of those that can and do endure. Why is it that I have faced imminent death from 9 to 14 times? This might be answered in many different ways. We find it would be given like this: God hath need of thee among those that seek to aid their fellow man. Do not overtax thine own energies, but rather let his purposes be complete in thee, as to that service ye may render others who sincerely seek to contribute to the better welfare of their fellow man. In other words, God hath need of thee, in the earth plane, as yet. The entity was in the Egyptian land, being sent as an emissary to the Gobi land. Thus all lands are a part of thy consciousness, for ye are the natural rover. But use aright. For God hath need of thee, if ye will apply thyself to his service. Then again would we give thee, study to show thyself approved unto God, a workman not ashamed, right dividing the words of truth and keeping self unspotted from the world. Ye must eventually be, after thy service in thine own country, a representative of thine own land, or an organization with a heart, with a soul, in dealing with others in other lands. In what is now China, Indochina, the southern seas, may be those places where a greater service may be given. That an individual entity is aware of a physical, mental, soul longing in this material consciousness should in itself be evidence to the individual entity that the first cause, the God principle, the divine consciousness is aware of the entity, and has been and is giving an opportunity to the entity for expression in this particular period of experience. For he, thy God, hath need of thee. Thou hast need of him if ye would be a channel of manifestation of the gift of consciousness at this particular period. Life itself is a manifestation of that called God in the earth. Give thanks for the very fact that ye are conscious of yourself, even with the frailties of the body. That thy mind and thy purposes and thy hands may do much to show the appreciation in self of the opportunity in this experience to be a channel of blessings to others, in making known to others the love of the Christ for those who are weak in body, who are hindered from the activities of a normal physical world. For he, thy God, thy Christ, is conscious of and hath need of thee. Else thy individual self, as 5064, would not be aware of thy consciousness of being shut in, would not be aware that there are material activities in which the entity might enter into, also that ye can, if ye will, be a witness for thy Maker. Am I ready to benefit by any certain line of thought, or should I keep on reading whatever comes my way? As has just been indicated, reading and writing. Do begin to write. Let those latent urges for the spectacular, for the dramatic, for mysticism terminate in the expression of the Christ consciousness. For the mysteries of the Gospels of Christ are as great a mystery as life itself. For it is not by chance that any individual soul enters, but that God hath need of thee at this time. They then, who begin to pity themselves or wonder what it is all about, lose the real purpose of love, that ye may make manifest the love he hath chosen to give thee. For know, there is that awareness that should be in self, that the very fact ye are conscious of thy activity in the material plane should be evidence that thy Father God hath need of thy service in the earth, and that through the present activity ye are given the opportunity to be a channel of blessing to someone. For, to obtain the consciousness and awareness of coming into his presence, or as one would call to heaven, it will be as if it were leaning on the arm of someone ye have tried to help. For as ye do it unto thy brother, ye do it unto thy Maker. No, they are immutable laws. God is, and ye as a daughter, as a servant of the Most High God are his handmaid. Then act like it. So live with others that ye can approach the throne of grace and call him, Father God. For, as has been indicated, and read this carefully, apply it personally as ye read it, in Exodus 19 verse 5, know it is speaking as of thee, that ye may be one. For all are in the same relation, if they will accept that which is spoken there as their own relationship to the creative forces. Explain the phenomenon of the widely beautiful face upon which is written recklessness, sorrow, pain, and despair, which often fades in upon the canvas of my inner vision. The experiences, as in the companionship of one healed by the Master, should answer itself. He used it not too wisely. Don't make the same mistake again. No condemnation for the fact that ye are aware of yourself, and a student of the life that may set thee free indeed should make thee conscious that the Lord hath need of thee. Another face which becomes confused with that of my Father, both have passed on. This is purely material. Let this depart from thee, save if ye may help. When the face appears, say, May I help, Lord? He will either immediately vanish or speak the word. For the very fact that the entity is aware of its consciousness in the three-dimensional world should be proof that the Lord, thy Maker, thy God hath need of thee in this present experience. Thus, as one analyzes the virtues, the abilities, these far outpass, far exceed the vices. For there are those virtues that need only to be stresses, that the entity may not only find a greater harmony in the material experiences in the earth in the present, but may add to its mental and material associations, and thus be the greater complement to the periods of awareness in this particular experience. Keep the mental attitude in that of a constructive nature. Find not fault with others, for these but magnify thine own shortcomings as in the eyes and minds of others. Let thy watchword rather be, that, as the Lord hath need of me, may I in humbleness of mind be used as a channel of blessings to others. May that I think, do, be in accord with that I would have thought of and done to me by others.